Adulthood is worth fighting for. Okay, this point will be shorter, and it's my favorite point, and I'm very excited about this point. Free will. You have free will. Like, now that you are an adult, you have far more free will than you had when you were younger. And that's just like common sense. Like, obviously, when you were a kid and you didn't know how to change a diaper, you needed help. But you don't need that anymore. Like, you have free will. And I just feel like you're not using it as much because you're still, if the programming from before is still kind of beneficial, you're not going to go outside of it. You're probably living in autopilot, and free will requires you to break free from that once in a while, and it literally is the antithesis of like autopilot. You have free will. You are probably a lot more miserable in life because you're not using it in abundance. You're not using it even in like a little ways, and I'm going to talk about that right now, right? But you have free will. And the thing is, we really only see free will being enacted in very cruel, terrible ways, whether it's like school shootings and genocides and wars that are happening. We have free will. Like, jeez. Now, I said before that adulthood introduces you to the school of unlearning, relearning, and learning for the first time. For a lot of people, they have had their free will unfairly and aggressively stifled, demonized, even when you were so young. So the thought of you acting out or making a decision feels like sin. So if that's your case, take it slow. You also have the free will to take time with your free will. Remember, trial and error. It's a slow moving, slow paced realm. Even when you have to speed things up, like things in life, you still exist within that realm. It regulates you. I know we said, well, if you think you're an idiot, then make it idiot friendly. If you're a dunce, make your classroom dunce friendly, but you're probably not a dunce. And I'm really sorry for using that word, but that just came up in my head about when you're in school with that D cone or whatever. You're probably not an idiot. You're just probably dysregulated. And you're not starting from 0 like everyone else, but from like minus 20. People like that exist. They probably dealt with being more strictly raised. So what's normal and common sense for the world probably doesn't really apply to them because they were so, it's like, programming. Some programming is more stricter and harsher. Some people, as soon as, they're out of the shower, they have to clean up the place and make it look like they were never there. Like every time they walk into a room, they have to make sure that when they leave, it was like they never existed. They don't like to take up space because they shouldn't be reminded that they have to unfortunately take space. Some people are bred and born and raised like that. Some people have programming that doesn't start them at 0, but at like minus 2015. If that is you, you cannot get out of that by bullying yourself because you were put into that by bullying. So what you need to do is you need to give yourself grace and take your time. For some people, their goal is to get from 0 to 1. For your goal, it might be to get from minus 20 to minus 10 to minus 9 to minus 17. We want to get you out of the minuses so that we can get you even just to neutral and then above. Some people are starting negative, neutral, positive. Some people are positive, neutral, and they're in negative now. Some people are always neutral, never high or low. Regardless of where you are, you have to remember to get to that positive place. Free will is your portion. It is your right. A lot of your adulthood years is remembering what your rights actually are. Unfortunately, fighting for them and going up from there. But yes, free will is a very good thing, a cool thing, a fun thing. It can be dangerous, yes, but typically you have the right to free will. Everybody else gets to enact their free will. Why not you? You have the right to free will. And now I know I must give like a caveat. Like if you don't have to act on every impulse and every instinct. I completely get that. But to those that free will, doing little things of your own like authentic mind, if it was demonized, that was wrong. And I really apologize if you're stumbling with this. You're like, damn, why can't I just be bold about, wanting to wear green in a world of gray. Like you were raised this way. You just turned 20. You just are recently in your 20s, or maybe you might be 47, but you just realized how under spells you've been on. Like that realization and all the years that you were under like false ruling, that's something that you have to grieve and mourn. Like that bondage takes from you, right? So grace with yourself. Free will feels freaky, but you have free will. More than a baby in diapers, more than teenagers. You have also less restrictions to act out on free will. But like I said, free will can be dangerous. So I want to remind you of a verse that grounds me. And this verse is in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 23. And it says, all things are lawful, like that is morally legitimate and permissible, but not all things are beneficial or advantageous. All things are lawful, but not all things are constructive to character and edifying to spiritual life. So anyone's like, well, Naomi told me that I can do whatever I want. I'm going with the good book. And he was like, yeah, all things are kind of sort of lawful, but not all things are legitimate and permissible. So don't put that on me, because I know some of you will do that. Don't put that on me. And again, being an adult is not always so serious. Like, sometimes moral and right decisions are easier to make, and sometimes you're going to have to make really hard and challenging decisions. So discernment and responsibility will be critical and crucial and important. But again, if you're one of those people starting at -20 and you're not used to even having free will, and you're just learning the fact that you even have a right to free will, and that you're not evil for imposing and acting on your free will, then take it slow. Sometimes the art of rushing is just going to be detrimental to the art of like growing. Rushing and growing is not the same thing. Pace yourself. It's not always so serious being an adult. So please slow down a little. I know I keep saying slow down, calm down. You're not more adult. Again, you're not more adult because you're rushing. You're an adult because you're growing. And growth is hardly ever quick and rushed. We kind of get freaked out when it is. And so, with that being said, there is this is the part of the point that's going to really excite me, is this. There's one little thing that I like that makes free will feel more fun, that gives me more ground into my adulthood. And I know it's been like all over TikTok, but I have always been on this before. And even if after TikTok, who cares? And it is the art of Whimsy. I'm sorry. I love my girl Whimsy. Whimsy is my girl. Nobody play with Whimsy, okay? So Whimsy is described in the Google Dictionary as playfully quaint or fanciful behavior or humor. So like cutesy and stuff. And I don't know how I'm going to edit this video. And I might put like pictures and flashes and images of like whimsical things on TikTok and just like on Pinterest and stuff. And I agree. I think fancifulness, I would even say aloofness and playfulness. I actually know it sounds immature, but I have found that incorporating a sense of whimsy actually helps me to break some of the unnecessary rules and conditioning that I might be subliminally following, like mental restraints. Whimsy helps me rebuild my confidence in my choice-making skills. Actually, that's really great. I forgot I wrote that down. But yeah, it does give me. And I'm going to read out this example, right? And if I find his video, I'm going to look for it. But I cannot find it for the life of me. And so I was on TikTok one day, and there was this girl, and she said, "Oh, like I'm practicing my free will." And then so she was in the kitchen, right? And she was like stirring her pot or something in the kitchen. And then she says, "Oh, I'm acting free will." And then she goes out the kitchen and she pulls a chair and she sits down and she stirs the pot. And when I watched that video, I was like, "What?" Like my brain just went like, "We can do that. Like we can do that." And I was like, "Girl, you need to heal." But when she did that, that was like revolutionary for me. That was like a war cry, because she made me want to think of all the ways in which I ridiculously police myself, past the point of like religion and rules. And I know that can do that a lot. And I have my relationship with Jesus Christ and stuff, but like this was past that. I began to, it was so crazy how just her sitting down and stirring her spaghetti like brought on this like revelation. Like when I did my video about like how I didn't think I was going to get any epiphanies and my soul crushing epiphanies, but out of nowhere God was like, "Yep, I'm going to hit you with that." And I got hit with it by then. I was like, why is this insane to you? But so then I wrote this. I said, "So then as a result, I became acutely aware of how rigid and unnecessary the restrictions are that I put on myself are, with Whimsy as my magnifying tool. Things like I don't have to wet my toothbrush," like I was talking about. Like, I don't have to wet my toothbrush first and toothpaste. I can put toothpaste on first and wet it, and the world still won't end. Another example is, I don't have to wear the same pair of socks at home. I can mishmash them. Green dots on the left, yellow stripes on the right, or whatever, and fashion will not crumble. Like, I'm trying to think, are there other things like, I don't have to wear fitted clothing at home. Like I get it. I get wanting to dress nice even at home, but I don't have to. And fashion's not gonna crumble. I can wear, like, do you guys remember, maybe it was just me, but even when people were joking about like socks and sandals, I remember there would be like a little bit of an outcry when you would wear socks and sandals, and I'm like, well, damn, it's not that deep, you know. What else? Things like oh, like let's say when you're washing dishes in work or something, and people care more about the system of how you do something than if it's even done well. Like let's say washing your dishes, are you gonna put soap on the sponge and then like wipe the plate? Are you gonna wipe the plate, put the soap on the plate and then the sponge? Do you know what I mean? Or like milk and cereal. Now that one, I do find people who put like, I know people like put milk first and then cereal and then they just drink it cold. I just think that's a bit like psychotic, and I think SWAT should get in on that personally. But like I said, I lost my pages. I'm just going crazy about this. Hold on, give me a second. No, I didn't forget anything. But anyway, going back to the point of free will, like I use Whimsy as my magnifying tool to kind of color my free will, because free will feels really black and white, and those are real things. But free will isn't always like, you know, life and death situations. Sometimes it's like, you know, things like I don't know, I wrote here, oh, I'm gonna paint my dishwasher sparkly pink. It's not gonna make the dishes wash any worse. Do you know what I mean? I think we need to, as adults, balance making tough, like strong adult decisions, like making sure we have our debit and credit cards right and paying the bills, but also silly decisions like, oh, on Fridays, everything I have to wear has to be opposing. So if I'm wearing spots, I have to wear stripes on the other side. Like that is fine. Like I think that's actually really important. I think we don't have to be so strict. And that's one of the reasons why adulthood feels so draining, because when we were younger, it was like bills and this. It was responsibility after responsibility after responsibility. But Whimsy reminds you of your responsibility you have to yourself, to your joy, to your giddiness, to your excitement. It's not immature to be an adult that's hopeful and whimsical. And I think we think that being gray and grim and harsh in reality makes us more adult, but that's not true. That just makes life colorless. And the last time we were against color, one of us will be here, and I don't think it's gonna be me, if you get my drift. So, you know, Whimsy, you have free will. Like, you can use Whimsy. Like, not everything is so serious. My gosh, like what's wrong if you wear a dress inside out? I don't see the problem. And so with Whimsy incorporated into my free will, it actually helped me gain some sense of common sense back that I might have lost due to really strict upbringing. Because one thing I actually noticed in myself is that the more stricter a household that I grew up in, or other people grew up in, the more, like, not stupid you are, but the more closed off and sheltered you become. And when someone who is your law, is your God, you know, when that person who's your authority leaves, then all of a sudden you become that authority to your life, but you don't know what to do and how to handle it. And that was the point that I was trying to hit at, is that when you are sheltered and when you are too strict and stayed and set in your ways and stuff, you actually think that you don't have the ability for abstract thinking. I know I said that in the beginning. Like, I was always still used to kind of keeping everything calm for like people's systems. For example, I know that there's like corporate culture politics where people are care more about you following their system, asserting their dominance through their system, when there's multiple ways to do the same thing and get the same right result. It's not the same as certain theorems to get a certain equation in that, but everything felt like my way is the best way to do it, right? And so you feel like you don't know how to think for yourself, because they kept telling you, don't think for yourself. If I want you to brush your teeth, you have to put toothpaste on first. But the goal, you realize, is to brush your teeth. So then who cares? What if you just wet the brush? It doesn't matter. But when you're someone who's so used to like keeping the peace by doing the system and not actually looking at the result and working backwards, which you might feel is contrary to being adulting, because you have to think one step at a time forward, Whimsy actually becomes this magnifying tool. It becomes this it becomes a tool that begins to knock at your head like, okay, like, do you have to do it this way? Why are you so quick to use this equation? There are 4 different ways to get the answer. Why is process one the best way. You know, Whimsy makes you question, but I think it does it gently. So imagine, again, we've already said the fact that you have permission to go ahead and be an adult, but as you go out into the world, you're scared because you feel you're going to make mistakes. That's okay, because we're in the realm of trial and error. And now within that realm of trial and error, you remind yourself you have free will to trial and error and to succeed or to fail. Okay, but free will, I have to choose who's going to be the president. I have to pick, the right politicians. And yeah, that's all true, but you also have Whimsy. You also don't have to wear the same colored socks outside. You have boots on, no one's gonna see them. Or you don't, on Thursdays, you can wear opposite clothing. You also have Whimsy. Whimsy helps to loosen up your brain. It helps you to stretch, I think, your muscle for change, for adaptability, which is crucial. So adulting is not that serious. Adulting is not that serious. And yes, I know I said it's not that serious, and it is not that serious all the time, right? You kind of have to fight for someone's seriousness, right? And I said this, Whimsy is also about making free will a bit more personal, because as we get older, we're going to be making more decisions about the greater good, I don't know, climate change and this, that, and the third. But Whimsy also reminds us that we are also adults and we have a right to have a good time too, and it makes it personal. And I wrote here, like with Whimsy, it incorporates our unique quirks, idiosyncrasies, and Whimsy screams that they matter. Let your quirks matter to you in a positive way. It's time to do that. Like my favorite color, right? My favorite color is yellow, so I try to find ways in which I can incorporate yellow into my life. Maybe green is your favorite color. For example, does everything in your house have to be beige? If you like, no, girl, like, let me not be a hypocrite. If you like beige, if beige is your thing, you're a beige baddie warrior, then you go and be a beige baddie bombard warrior. You go and do that beige. I'm not trying to gaslight or like be what's that word, passive aggressive, but you know that, I'll give you an example. When I know for me, when I was like in YouTube around 2016 when I was a teenager, everybody was doing like the capsule wardrobe trend, and every staple wardrobe needs a little black dress, a blazer, a black blazer, it needs your nudes and tans and browns. And I had all this trying to make my own perfect wardrobe. And I remember one day, me and my mom, we were going to like H&M or something, we were shopping. And I was a teenager at the time. And as we're walking through H&M, my mom was like, "Oh, Naomi, there's a yellow jumper." And I remember looking at her like, okay. And she was like, "You don't have any yellow in your wardrobe." Fast forward to now, I don't even know if I can move my camera. Fast forward to now, you guys, the color that I have on my wardrobe. Actually, let me show you, just as I've gotten older now, I'm reclaiming color and patterns. Let me actually show you. Hold on. Road trip. Hold on. We are gonna move, and I'm gonna show you guys like how serious I am about bringing color. Like, do you guys see my wardrobe? Like, look. Now, one of my yellow jumpers actually is dirty, so it's in the laundry. I've got like red. Oh. I've got like red with ruffle, with fur. I didn't have that when I was a teenager. I have this pink with like, look at the patterns, look at the bright colors, throw that somewhere. I have like green. This is like one of my Whimsy outfits. Look at this, guys. Like, is it like cryptid core or something? Throw that somewhere. Family pictures. Like purple. I have blacks and stuff and white and gray. Blue, I got blue silk, as you guys can see. So yeah. Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh, one day I'm gonna show you guys all my mess. I have my beret collection. My goal is to have every color of the rainbow. I don't have yellow, but I've got red, I've got purple, orange, lime green, I've got browns, I've got like this navy, I've got pink. Also with my hats, hold on, let me show you guys. I've got this, I got this yellow bucket hat. I didn't have any colored hats. I have this one. I bought it online. Then this, you guys. Look! I saw this in like a second-hand shop and I was like, oh, this is too baddie. This is too nice. Like, look, guys. Furs and I don't know if you can see me. Furs and patterns and colors and stuff. This is how I honestly manage the gray and dullness and the mundanity of life color adds marvelousness to it, and it's an adult thing to do. Remember, the goal of this video is to encourage you to be a functioning adult. You're gonna need color, even if you abhor all bright colors. If black is your color, fine, then wear every single wonderful shade. But my goodness gracious, like, you don't want to be someone that's the world. I'm not saying it's bad to be like basic. I'm not someone that's like anti-basic. If you want to be basic, that's fine. I don't mind. I love basicness. I can't wait for my basic girl autumn, whatever. But at the same time, like, you guys, look. And also, like, the different fabrics and stuff. Look at me. Look at what since I was younger, I'm trying to get back to this girl. I'm trying to get back to this honey bunch. Look at my babe. Look at me. Look, I'm serving face. Look, and my pirate, like, my heart. And even then, since I was younger, I have always been like that. And I'm going back to that. And I'm not going to let the world tell me that to be an adult and to only make, like, harsh black and white decisions. No, there's color. I'm a woman of color, but I also love color. I love patterns and textile and shapes. I love clothing that makes noise. I love clothing that I have to fight dominance with who's gonna wear me, the clothing, or am I gonna wear her? So yes, whimsy and color. And alright, I'm gonna shut up now and get to the ending of this point. I promised this one was gonna be short, but oh my gosh, you guys. I'll be right back. Hold on. Actually, that felt like a class trip. I don't know, I really love that. That was great. But anyway, that was to show you guys that whimsy is about taking back some power and free will. It's about, I said here again, forgive me, I'm gonna get to a point where I won't be needing scripts for these long videos. But I said whimsy is about making the things around you more like you, more homely, and that actually helps you be more adult, and it makes you more free, as free will as an adult will feel less daunting and scary. Simple, I know, but honestly, some people aren't even doing simple. Some people are so programmed to just conform. And sometimes, I don't know if all conformity is wrong. I don't know. But some people really don't feel like some people don't feel like they can't wear, some people don't feel like they can wear a certain color scheme. On Pink or Wednesdays, we only wear Friday. And some people, especially teenagers, really believe that. But now that you're out in your adult 20s, you can start incorporating more color or less color if you're tired. You know, I get that completely. So let whimsy make you more excited. All right. So I said one last thing and then we're done around. I have said this. Another example that I saw on TikTok, especially regarding clothing, is so there was this guy on TikTok, and if I can find the video, I'm gonna play it, right? The next station is But there was this guy on TikTok. He was walking through the streets, but he was dressed in like this fantasy battle warrior armor, and I was watching him and I was like, oh my gosh, like, he looks great. And there was like a sword, but I don't know if it was real or not, but it was safely sheathed and stuff. And I remember just thinking, like, we don't have to dress like the 2020s. We don't have to dress like, we don't have to do that. I forgot, like, I don't have to wear, I mean, of course I wear clothing and I'm not naked in public, of course not. Like I said in that Bible verse, things are lawful, but not everything is good to do. Like, I'm not gonna run around naked like it's Adam and Eve, like we're in the Garden of Eden. No, I do care about, like, society. I care about that too. But I said here that like, we're legally allowed to dress like that. That man, he wasn't obstructing anyone. It wasn't spikes that were dangerous. He was just wearing that, like, almost, it was like fantasy battle clothing, and he was walking around in it fine. And I was like, I can dress like that too, and I can be totally allowed to dress like that. It won't be bad or mean or wrong. Like, that's another example of whimsicality, is that, for example, you know, in like Pirates of the Caribbean, when the pirates would have like those blouses, those like white blouses, and the ruffles, because I love ruffles. I that's how I'm so attracted to blouses like that. But even though I would hate to be in the pirate era, I would love to buy the ruffles and the suspenders and then just go out in town like that. Like, that's totally allowed. You don't have to dress like your era. I mean, you have to dress like respectfully and stuff, and that's fine, but you don't have to dress like your era. But like, that was when I saw him, I was like, I don't have to do that. And there's actually another guy. If I can find his video, I'll find his video.
My name is Zach McLeod-Pinsent. I am 25 years old and I don't own or wear any modern clothing. And people might go, oh, that's strange. It is strange. If I enjoy what I'm doing, then why change? Wearing what I wear, it makes you feel 10 feet high. You know, it's spectacular. It's a huge confidence builder. You fight so hard, generally externally, because you're always ready for it. It's whether everyone else is. Once you get past that point and you can finally do it, you never dream of going back. You occasionally might get the odd comment from a drunk person at 3 in the morning, but that's a drunk person at 3 in the morning.
So to finish off this point, it might have been longer than the other ones, I'm sorry. But genuinely, I just love Whimsy. Whimsy for me is a really good stepping stone into being an adult, because it brings more joy into my adulthood and it reminds me that it doesn't make it immature and my adulthood is actually worth fighting for. And so honestly, I encourage you that if there's a way about you that you feel you can incorporate more whimsy into your day to day, please let me know in the comment sections. And again, whimsy doesn't have to look the way TikTok or social media says. What feels more like your inner child? What feels more like you? Is there a shape you like to have more around it? What makes like adulthood feel a little bit more bright and like you? So because remember, you're an adult now, you have permission to go, you know, you have the right to trial and error, and you know that adulthood is worth fighting for because you can incorporate whimsy and other tools. Maybe there's another tool like, I don't know, physics helps you be a more happier adult and stuff. So you know that you also have free will. These mindsets should already put an encouraging advantage into why being an adult is worth fighting for. And so let me know in the comments, well, if there's anything whimsical about you, that anything that you do that kind of feels like not screw society, but like screw ridiculous rulings, ridiculous rules. Let me know in the comments below. Maybe I can incorporate some of those things. And yes, I'm just gonna end the point here because that was my favorite point. Like, I didn't think I was gonna take a trip with you guys into the room, into my wardrobe, but it was chef's kiss. And so with that, we're going to get now into the fourth point. And this point, this one we just did was my favorite point. I think this point is actually the most healing. Maybe more healing than permission to go, the right to trial and error, free will and whimsy. This second last point, I think is really going to heal some souls regarding your adulthood, and it is this.